Hi, my name is Joe and welcome to a very short edition of Joe's Technology. Today I'm looking at APU-based gaming computers. Deja vu, huh? Didn't I just put out a video about an APU-based system? In truth, I did. I had a friend of mine who had called me up and said, Joe, I need to be able to build a computer to play the World of Warcraft and it needs to be as cheap as possible. And this is it, an AMD A10 5800 based system. And the criticism that I received back from people was, well, Joe, if this is going to be an APU-based system where our graphics processing unit is built into the CPU, we're entirely dependent on whatever memory you put on the motherboard. Why did you put 1600 memory? Well, in order to be cheap, really. So, higher speed memory equals more frames per second because the CPU, APU, is able to get more data in and out of what it's using for video memory to be able to process graphics. With the World of Warcraft, it's a very old game. It's been around 10 years. It's a very aging engine. Big ugly polygons, easily shaded. So I knew that 1600 memory would be just fine for that game. However, the maximum amount of speed that the 5800K can accept would be 2400, so this is basically overclocked memory. So here, let's see what it would really cost if we went ahead and used the 2400 stuff. So here we have our system was maintaining 8 gigs of RAM. So as you can see, we have R9 Gamer Series. It's 2400, and AMD makes this, by the way. So in order to capitalize on the whoops, you know what? I hit the wrong button, didn't I? Here, let's go back a little bit. All right, we want to edit the parts list. This loads the parts list. I was just looking into the local memory, and here now we can edit it. There we go. So instead of having to redo the parts list, I can use the one that's already there. And now we'll just go ahead and delete the memory that was there. As you can see, it's not that big a difference, So $37 more, and we can have the same amount of memory, but at the maximum amount of speed. Like I said, the emphasis was on saving as much money as possible, so I picked all the minimums, but for a little bit more, you can get more performance out of that system than you could previously. Now, there's one other thing that we can change out here without changing anything else. We'll just leave the motherboard and everything else the same, and that's the GPU itself. So, or I should say APU in this case. So we have the 5800K, which is not a bad little chip. However, it has a bigger brother, and that's the, let's see, where is it? The 7850K. Notice it's a bit more expensive. So we're adding a bit more expense, but we're going to get more performance out of that 2400 memory. And we end up with a bigger overall total price tag. However, if you're just looking to build an inexpensive gaming computer, and like I said, especially if you have no plans to ever add a discrete graphics card, this is a good way to go. Now, if you think you're going to be adding a discrete graphics card, an actual physical graphics card at some point in the near future, you can save money and get a cheaper processor than this. Something like an Intel Pentium G3258 would probably be good, or even a 3250. And there are cheaper AMD processors that will be able to do the job as well, because, and you can get cheaper memory, because the GPU, the actual graphics card, will do the work that we're relying upon the APU to do in this instance. Also, a word of caution. AMD likes to tout the fact that the AMD A10 is able to run in Crossfire, which is AMD's version of SLI, with a discrete graphics card for more performance. But here's the problem. Technology's kind of passed the A10s by in the regards that, the A10s are basically compatible with R7 250s and 240s. So as you can see here in this question that was posed just a couple of months ago, where people are saying, well, is there any other GPUs that I could pair my ATPU with in order to get better performance? And as you can see here, the people are telling you, hey, it's probably not worth it. These days you can just get an R9 270 or a GTX 750 Ti and just turn the APU off completely, just use it as a CPU, and you'll get better performance from that one physical graphics card than you could by running the APU in Crossfire with a weaker card. The prices have just come down too much, so crossfiring the APU is just not worth it anymore. So again, only buy an A10 if you're planning on just gaming on that and that alone, because otherwise you're spending too much on your CPU, or well, in this case APU. I'll go ahead and I'll save this parts list so that it's available for everyone to see, and I will link it to the bottom of this video. As you can see, we still have 195 watts, so our bronze certified 430 watt Corsair builder should still do it just fine. If you're curious as to where the power goes, you can always click on that and see a breakdown. At least these are estimates that are being put together by PC Part Picker. Alright, thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time on Joe's Technology. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Have a good day.